All right, so I'm going to go through 4 different equations that you're going to need to understand for the test that you're taking on Friday. So let's start by drawing a line. That's what we always do. Now we're going to read it. It says x plus 3 all divided by 7 equals -2. Well, again, the way I like to do this is I cover up what's with the variable. So if you can use your finger and cover up the x plus 3, all that's left is the divided by 7. So that means to get rid of the divided by 7, we're going to have to multiply by 7 on each side. So these 7's will cancel, and the x plus 3 drops straight down. Then we've got -2 times 7. So that gives us -14. You always want to use Desmos. I just didn't to save a little time. Now we've got x plus 3 equals -14. So I'm going to cover up my variable, cover up your x with your finger, and then decide, how do I get rid of that plus 3? Well, you subtract 3 on each side, draw your line. The x floats down, and then let's go ahead and make sure to use Desmos. -14 minus 3 is -17. But the most important thing is knowing how to check your answers in Desmos. So when you have something that's set up like this, start by clicking A divided by B. You're going to type x plus 3 on top. You're going to put the 7 on the bottom. Go to your next line, and then type in the answer, x equals -17. That gives you -2, which is exactly what we started with, so that means we have solved this correctly. If you don't understand how I did it, rewind the video and watch it again. We've got 3 more. All right, here's the next one. When I look at this, the first thing I'm going to do is draw my line. Okay, and then I look at everything over there on the left side. We've got 2 different terms with x's, 2 different terms with numbers. That means we're going to have to combine like terms. So I'm going to start down here. I'm going to draw an x and I'm going to draw a number. So that first term is -3x. Always bring the sign with it, even if the sign isn't written. Okay, -4, and then plus 5x and +2. So let's use our calculator again. -3 plus 5 leaves us with 2x. You have to bring the x's down. Then if you go to the next line, you've got -4. Oh, sorry about that. Let me clear that out. You've got -4 plus 2, which leaves you with -2. So let me come back over here, and we're going to start right here, and it leaves you with -2. So that 2x minus 2 is how you put your families together. Now you have to use that expression to solve the equation. So you move the 2x minus 2 here and write equals 31. All right? So again, with your finger, cover up that 2x. And what's left? All I see is a -2. So to get rid of a -2, you do the opposite. You add 2 on both sides. Let me go ahead and get an eraser and try to make this a little bit easier for everybody to see. Hold on a second. So I'm going to erase all this down here. We've already used it to put our terms together. So now let's go back to what we were doing. All right. So -2 plus 2 cancels out. You've got a 2x equals 31 plus 2 is 33. Again, I encourage you to always use Desmos. Then we're going to say 2 times x. How do I undo multiplication? Well, you undo that by dividing. And we're going to come to our calculator and do 33 divided by 2, which gives us 16.5. All right, and again, we're going to come back to Desmos because the biggest thing is to know how to check our equations. So we're going to start by typing negative 3x minus 4 plus 5x plus 2. We're going to go to our next line and we're going to type in x equals, and our x was 16.5, and that gives us 31, which is exactly what we have here. So that means, again, we solved our equation correctly. So when you see something that looks like that, you've got to put your families together first before you start solving. So let's go to our next equation. Again, we're going to draw our line. There are parentheses here, so that means we have to distribute. So we're going to start by taking negative 3 times 1x, which gives us negative 3x. Remember, if there's an x by itself, there's a 1 in front of it. All right? Then we have to come over here, and I'm going to use Desmos. You're going to multiply negative 3 times negative 5. You have to include the signs, and that gives you a positive 15 equals 12. So now we're going to review that. We multiplied negative 3 times x and got negative 3x. And we multiplied negative 3 times negative 5 and got positive 15. So now, take your thumb, cover up the negative 3x. What do you see? That plus 15 is left there. So let's subtract 15 on each side. So you've got negative 3x equals, and then let's come over to this side and do 12 minus 15, which is negative 3. Okay, so we've got negative 3x equals negative 3. Well, negative 3x is multiplication. And how do we undo multiplication? We divide by whatever is in front of the variable, which in this case is a negative 3. So that cancels. And then we're going to go ahead and use our calculator just to make sure of ourselves. And we're going to do negative 3 divided by negative 3. Let me get that in the calculator. Sorry about that. And that, of course, gives you 1. But let's make sure that we did it correctly by checking. We're going to start by typing in everything on the side of the equation where the variable is. So that would be negative 3, open parentheses, x minus 5, close your parentheses, and then x equals 1. And that gives us 12, which is the same as that right there. So you know you are correct. All right? And one more. Remember we told you that you were going to see some blocks? Well, here they are. It says solve the equation represented by the model. So let's look at our key. The long, tall rectangles are x's. So I'm actually going to label them x, 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 and x. The white boxes are -1. So we've got a -1 there and a -1 here. And the shaded boxes are +1. So I'm just going to write ones on top of every single shaded box. And this line indicates equals. So let's start by counting our x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, x. And then we have a -1 and a -1, which gives us -2. And on the other side, we're just going to count those shaded boxes because they're all positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we have an equation. Okay, so you have to use your key to write the equation, and now we're going to solve it. So I'm going to put my thumb over that 4x. All I see is a -2, so I'm going to add 2 to each side. That leaves me with 4x equals 12. So 4 and an x together means they're being multiplied, 4 times x. So we're going to divide each side by 4, and then I'm going to come over here to write, and that leaves me with x equals 3. Of course, you can use Desmos for that, but I am going to use Desmos to check myself. So 4x minus 2 and x equals 3, which gives me 10, which is exactly what I started with. So that's how you would solve an equation represented by a model. You first have to write it out carefully using the key, and then solve it and finally check it in your calculator. Okay? I really believe all of you can do super well on this test. So study hard. We'll see you tomorrow.